If you've been anywhere near a Coronation Street forum, a fan Facebook group, or the comment section of a soap spoiler account in the last few months, you've probably seen it. Headlines screaming that Carla Connor is dead. Videos titled "Carla Dies as She Exits." Whispers that Weatherfield's most iconic businesswoman has finally met her end after nearly 2 decades on the cobbles. And if you're a longtime Corrie fan, your stomach probably dropped a little reading that. Carla Connor isn't just a character. She's survived kidnappings, breakdowns, a factory roof collapse, addiction, betrayal after betrayal, and enough heartbreak to fill 3 lifetimes. So the idea that she might finally be gone for good is the kind of story that stops fans mid-scroll. But here's the question we're actually going to answer today, properly, without the clickbait spin. What really happened to Carla Connor? Is she actually dead? Is Allison King, the woman who has brought her to life since 2006, leaving the show for good? Or is this one of the biggest, most deliberately confusing pieces of misdirection Coronation Street has ever pulled? Stick around, because we're going to walk through the storyline, the real interviews, the actual confirmed plans from producers, the fan reaction that's been flooding social media, and yes, we'll also get into Allison King's real life away from the cobbles, including her career, her family, and what's actually known about her net worth. This is the full picture, not just the panic-inducing headline. Let's start with why this is even a conversation right now. For months, Coronation Street has been building towards something producers have openly described as one of the biggest events in the show's history. Back at the start of the year, the show announced a special flash-forward episode, a leap into the near future designed to open with a mysterious death on the cobbles. Not just any death storyline, but one deliberately structured as what showrunners called a who have they done it to, not a whodunit. In other words, viewers wouldn't be trying to figure out who committed a crime. They'd be trying to figure out who the victim actually is. 5 different characters were floated as potential victims, and the show spent weeks dropping clues, red herrings, and near misses designed to keep everyone guessing. And because Carla Connor has been at the center of so much drama recently, including a violent attack at the factory that left her fighting for her life in hospital, her name shot straight to the top of fan death watch lists. Combine that with a string of YouTube videos using titles like "Carla Connor Dies in Hospital as She Exits" and "Carla's Fate Revealed," and you get exactly the kind of perfect storm that turns a soap storyline into a full-blown cause of death rumor mill. Now, before we go any further, let's ground everyone in exactly who and what we're talking about, because if you're a casual viewer or someone who used to watch years ago and is only now being pulled back in by the headlines, some context will help everything make sense. Carla Connor, sometimes known during her various marriages as Carla Gordon, Carla Barlow, or most recently Carla Connor Swain, is one of the most enduring and complicated characters in Coronation Street history. She first appeared on screen back in December 2006, introduced as the wife of Paul Connor, and almost immediately became entangled in one of the show's defining family dynasties. She's the daughter of the late Johnny Connor and Sharon Donovan, the result of an affair Johnny didn't publicly acknowledge for years, which tells you everything you need to know about the kind of messy, high-stakes personal history that has defined Carla from day one. Over the years, she has owned and run the underworld lingerie factory, weathered a horrifying storyline involving her own rape by Frank Foster, survived addiction struggles, been at the center of a fatal tram crash, endured multiple divorces, and became one of the most awarded characters in the show's history when it comes to acting recognition. She has been married to Paul Connor, Tony Gordon, Peter Barlow twice, and briefly to Nick Tilsley. And in one of the more significant character developments of recent years, Carla began a relationship with Detective Sergeant Lisa Swain, her first romance with a woman, and the two were married in 2026, giving longtime viewers one of the most emotionally satisfying pairings the show has produced in years. The actress behind Carla is Allison King, who was born in Leicester in March 1973 and actually trained as a dental nurse before pursuing acting seriously. She briefly appeared on Coronation Street in 2004 in a 1-episode role as a completely different character before landing the role of Carla 2 years later, a role that would go on to define her career. King has played Carla, with some gaps for maternity leave and career breaks, for nearly 20 years, appearing in well over 1,000 episodes. She departed the show for a period in the mid-2010s to explore other creative projects, including television work outside of Corrie, before making a high-profile return that fans largely celebrated. Her performance as Carla has earned her a British Soap Award for Best Actress, along with numerous other nominations across her run, and she's widely regarded by both critics and fans as one of the strongest dramatic performers currently on British soap television. That long, layered history is exactly why any hint that Carla might die hits differently than it would for a more peripheral character. This isn't a guest role. This is a cornerstone of the show. So now, let's actually get into what has been happening on screen, because the recent run of storylines is genuinely intense, even by Corrie standards. In the back half of last year, Carla was the victim of a brutal and frightening attack. The storyline saw the underworld factory ransacked, and as Carla went to call the police after discovering the break-in, she was struck from behind by an unseen assailant and left unconscious on the factory floor. It was a gut punch of a cliffhanger, made even more devastating by the timing, because it landed right as Carla and Lisa's relationship was at a tender, uncertain moment, with Lisa having just told Carla she wasn't ready to fully commit. The attack left Carla hospitalized and fighting for her life, and the show used the aftermath to deepen the emotional stakes between her and Lisa, with Lisa keeping vigil at her bedside and clearly reassessing everything she thought she felt. It was classic Coronation Street. Take a couple who the audience is desperate to see succeed, then threaten to rip it all away right at the moment of vulnerability. From there, the show leaned even harder into uncertainty around Carla's fate. She's continued to be at the center of major plot movements, from health scares to being swept up in the ongoing fallout involving her family, including her complicated relationship with her half-brother Rob Donovan, who's been back in Weatherfield stirring up trouble after his latest release. Then came the announcement that really lit the fuse under the rumor mill, the flashforward special. Producer Kate Brooks spoke about the episode in the run-up to broadcast, explaining that the storyline had been years in the making and would open with a death that touches nearly every family on the street. She described it as a story where the audience understands the context of what happened and how it happened, but spends the episode and the weeks following it uncovering exactly who the victim is. With 5 potential victims teased across the cast, and Carla sitting right in the middle of some of the show's most dangerous storylines, fans very quickly started building their own theories, and a huge number of them pointed straight at her. Adding fuel to the fire, interviews around the same period referenced a romantic spring for Carla and Lisa, with producers teasing wedding bells in the near future for the couple. On the surface, that sounds like good news, a happy ending finally being handed to 2 characters who've earned it. But longtime soap viewers know exactly what that kind of setup usually means. When a soap opera spends weeks hyping up a wedding and a happy ending for a couple, especially right before or during a flash-forward death mystery, it is almost always a sign that something devastating is coming. Whether that's meant to be read as dramatic misdirection or an actual genuine warning sign became the single biggest topic of debate across fan communities. And that's exactly the environment that gave rise to the wave of YouTube content using titles like Carla Dies as She Exits, content that, to be clear, tends to be produced by independent fan and spoiler channels rather than official ITV sources, riding the wave of genuine uncertainty the show itself created. So here's the honest, unvarnished answer to the big question everyone's asking. Has it been officially, confirmedly stated that Carla Connor has died, or that Allison King is leaving Coronation Street for good? As of the most recent information available, no formal, confirmed announcement from ITV or from Allison King herself has locked in a permanent death or exit for the character in the current storyline cycle. What we do know for certain is that the show deliberately built an entire flash-forward mystery designed to make viewers believe multiple characters, Carla very much included, could be the victim at the center of that storyline. We also know Carla has been through a genuinely life-threatening attack storyline that left her hospitalized, which is exactly the kind of near-death beat that soaps often use either as a red herring or as the first domino in an eventual exit. And we know that speculative content across YouTube and social media has run well ahead of any official confirmation, packaging dramatic uncertainty as settled fact in order to capture clicks. That distinction matters. There is a real, ongoing, officially confirmed mystery storyline putting Carla in serious jeopardy. There is not, as of now, a confirmed, official statement that she has died or that Allison King has left the role permanently. It's also worth remembering that this isn't the first time Allison King's future on the show has been the subject of headlines. Years ago, she made the decision to step away from Coronation Street to pursue other creative projects, telling interviewers at the time that she missed playing different characters and wanted to revisit parts of her career, including voiceover work, that the demands of a continuing soap role made difficult. She was open about how much she'd sacrificed in terms of ordinary family moments, joking that she'd barely done a handful of school pickups during her daughter's early years because of the show's relentless filming schedule. That departure lasted a couple of years before she made a triumphant, heavily publicized return to the role at Christmas, much to the delight of fans who had never really accepted Carla being gone for good. That history is important context here because it shows Allison King has both the appetite and the precedent for stepping away from the role when she feels the time is right, which is exactly why fans take any hint of an exit so seriously. It also means that even if Carla's current storyline does end in some kind of departure, whether through death, a dramatic exit, or simply moving away from Weatherfield, it wouldn't necessarily be unprecedented, and it wouldn't necessarily be permanent either, given her track record of returning. Now, let's talk about how fans have actually been reacting to all of this, because the online response has been enormous. Soap opera forums and fan Facebook groups have been running detailed theory threads for weeks, breaking down every clue from recent episodes frame by frame, cross-referencing which characters have been given unusually emotional or reflective dialogue recently, which is often read by dedicated viewers as a subtle sign that a soap is quietly building toward writing someone out. Social media has been similarly active, with fans posting everything from genuine anxiety about losing a beloved character to gallows humor about how many near-death experiences one woman from Weatherfield can realistically survive. There's also been a visible split in the fan reaction. One camp is convinced this is exactly the kind of narrative misdirection Coronation Street loves to use, pointing to the show's long history of building up a couple's happy ending only to snatch it away from a completely different, less expected character instead. The other camp thinks the sheer scale of attention being placed on Carla, combined with Allison King's own history of stepping away from the role, suggests this really could be the moment the show finally lets one of its most iconic characters go. Entertainment outlets covering the soap have largely stayed cautious, reporting on the flash-forward mystery and the attack storyline as confirmed plot developments, while treating the specific "Carla is dead" claims as unconfirmed fan and clickbait speculation rather than verified news, which lines up with what we've found doing our own digging for this video. There's also been a noticeable amount of frustration directed at the wave of sensationalized YouTube content itself. A number of longtime Corrie fans have pushed back publicly against videos that present unconfirmed death rumors as settled fact, arguing that this kind of content misleads casual viewers and creates unnecessary panic among fans who don't follow every twist of the storyline in real time. It's a fair criticism, and it's part of why we wanted to lay out exactly what is and isn't confirmed here rather than just running with the most dramatic possible framing. That said, it's completely understandable why the speculation has taken off the way it has. Coronation Street has spent real production resources and real narrative real estate building a mystery specifically designed to make you believe your favorite character might be the one who doesn't make it. That's the whole point of a flash-forward death mystery. The show wants you nervous. The show wants you rewatching old episodes for clues. In that sense, even if the rumors ultimately turn out to be wrong, the show has already succeeded in generating exactly the kind of anxious engagement it was built to create. So what would it actually mean for the show, for the character, and for Allison King if Carla Connor really was written out permanently, whether through death or some other dramatic exit? For the show itself, losing Carla would represent the end of one of its most consistently compelling long-running storylines. She's been a connective thread across multiple eras of Coronation Street, tied by blood or marriage to the Connors, the Donovans, the Barlows, and now the Swains, meaning her exit would ripple outward into practically every corner of the current cast. Her business ownership of the Underworld factory has also functioned as a recurring setting for storylines involving dozens of other characters over the years, so her departure would likely force some kind of restructuring of who runs that space going forward. For Lisa Swain, played by Vicky Myers, losing Carla so soon after the two finally found happiness together would be an emotionally devastating blow, and honestly, exactly the kind of gut-wrenching twist that soap writers love precisely because it hurts so much. It would also mean the show potentially losing one of its more prominent LGBTQ+ relationships, just as it had reached a hopeful, settled point, which is the sort of narrative decision that tends to generate significant, sustained fan debate about representation and how queer storylines are treated compared to straight ones on long-running soaps. For Allison King personally, an exit, permanent or otherwise, would free her up to pursue other projects, something she's been candid in the past about wanting more room for. Her interests outside of Corrie have included voiceover work and other acting roles that a continuing soap commitment makes difficult to schedule around, given how demanding the filming calendar for a show airing multiple times a week actually is. Given her track record, though, a full permanent goodbye seems far from guaranteed even if the storyline does conclude with Carla leaving Weatherfield in some form. She's returned to the role before after stepping away, and both the show and its audience have made it clear over the years just how much appetite there is to bring Carla back whenever the story allows for it. Let's turn now to what fans are speculating might actually happen as the storyline plays out, because there's no shortage of theories floating around. One popular idea is that the flash-forward death is a deliberate misdirection built entirely around Carla to protect a genuine twist involving a different, less suspected character, following the classic soap playbook of making the audience watch the wrong hand while the real trick happens elsewhere. Another theory ties the mystery back into the ongoing fallout from Carla's brother Rob's return to Weatherfield, with some fans speculating that his history of violence and manipulation could tie him to whatever danger eventually threatens Carla, whether that's a direct attack, a kidnapping, or him inadvertently putting her in harm's way through his own criminal entanglements. Some fans have pointed to the earlier factory attack as a piece of unfinished business, arguing that Corrie rarely lets an unresolved assault storyline simply fade away, and predicting the true identity of Carla's original attacker could resurface in a way that ties directly into the flash-forward mystery. Others believe the wedding tease between Carla and Lisa is exactly what it looks like on the surface, a genuine happy milestone that the show intends to deliver, precisely because audiences have been conditioned to expect tragedy, making the actual happy ending feel like a bigger emotional payoff by comparison. It's worth remembering that soap writers are keenly aware of what their audience expects, and sometimes the biggest twist really is just letting two characters be happy for once. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Allison King's life away from the cobbles, since that's a huge part of what people search for whenever a what really happened style story about a soap star starts trending. Away from Weatherfield, Allison King has built a life that longtime interviews describe as fairly grounded, especially considering her level of fame within British television. She has a daughter, Daisy May, whose early years King has spoken about publicly, including candid comments about how demanding the Coronation Street filming schedule made ordinary parenting moments like school runs. King has been open in interviews about balancing the intensity of playing one of the show's most dramatically demanding characters with wanting to be present for her family, a tension that's fairly common among actors on long-running continuing dramas, where filming schedules can stretch across nearly the entire year. Her career prior to Corrie included modeling and other television roles, and her path into acting itself is a fairly unusual one, given that she originally trained and worked as a dental nurse before making the leap into performing. On the subject of her net worth, this is an area where we have to be careful because unlike box office figures or publicly disclosed salaries in some other industries, UK soap actor pay isn't something ITV or the actors themselves typically publish in detail. What's generally understood, based on industry reporting around long-serving Coronation Street cast members, is that a lead actor with Alison King's tenure, nearly 2 decades in one of the biggest roles on one of Britain's longest-running soaps, along with multiple award wins and nominations, would command a significant salary by UK television standards, especially factoring in the years she's spent as one of the show's most central characters. Various entertainment and biography outlets have placed estimates of her net worth in the range of a few $1,000,000, generally citing her long tenure, her award-winning performances, and additional income from work outside Coronation Street as contributing factors. It's worth stressing that these figures are estimates rather than confirmed, published financial disclosures, since actors' actual earnings, investments, and personal finances are private. What we can say with confidence is that Alison King's professional standing, built on nearly 20 years playing one of British soap's most iconic characters, places her firmly among the higher-earning and most recognizable performers in the genre, regardless of the exact number attached to her bank account. Bringing this all back together, here's where things actually stand. Coronation Street has spent months constructing one of its most ambitious mystery storylines in years, built around a flash-forward death with 5 potential victims and Carla Connor sitting squarely among the most talked-about candidates. That mystery has been made even more intense by a genuinely brutal attack storyline that left Carla hospitalized, and by producer interviews teasing a happy, wedding-bound future for Carla and Lisa that soap fans instinctively read as a potential setup for tragedy. All of that combined has created the perfect environment for rumors, fan theories, and yes, plenty of sensationalized YouTube content claiming Carla has died or that Alison King is leaving for good. But based on everything confirmed so far, there has not been an official announcement locking in a permanent death or exit for the character. What's real is the mystery. What's real is the danger the storyline has put her in. What isn't confirmed is the specific claim that she's already gone. And when it comes to Alison King herself, she remains, as far as all available information shows, very much alive, very much a celebrated fixture of British television, with a career and personal life that extends well beyond the drama unfolding on screen for her character. Whatever happens when the mystery finally resolves, and whichever character turns out to be the one at the center of that death, one thing is certain. Coronation Street has succeeded in making its audience genuinely afraid of losing one of its most beloved figures, and that kind of emotional investment, whether it ends in heartbreak or relief, is exactly what's kept this show running for over 60 years. We'll be watching closely as new episodes air and as the mystery unravels, and we'll bring you the confirmed details the moment the truth comes out, rather than the speculation. So that's the full story behind the Carla Connor rumors, separated from the clickbait and grounded in what's actually been confirmed. If you're a longtime Corrie fan, we want to know what you think is really going on. Do you believe Carla is walking straight into disaster? Or do you think the show is finally about to give her and Lisa the happy ending they deserve? Let us know your theories down in the comments. We read every single one. If this video helped clear up the confusion around all the rumors flying around online, give it a like. It genuinely helps us keep making videos like this. And if you want to be the first to know the moment this storyline is officially resolved, along with all the other biggest Coronation Street news as it breaks, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because this is one story we are not done covering. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.